Back to the Femme Portfolio podcast. I'm your co-host, Bryn Bradshaw-Mack.
And I'm Rachel Hirsch. And today we have the honor of having Imogen Lever on the show today. She is one of the most incredible and interesting people. But Ims, I'll let you tell everyone about you.
And that's a lot of pressure. I'm not sure I can live up to that, but thanks, Rach. Yeah, I guess I do a variety of things. I started my career as a model, moved into acting, and then fell upon, excuse the pun, stunts and the industry of stunt performing, and have also gone on to get my Pilates license and teach Pilates. So there's a whole range of things.
Will you tell us how you got into modeling? Like, did you know you were just like tall and beautiful to begin with, or?
I think ugly duckling is sort of more of like what springs to mind. But yeah, I guess I was always like quite like tall and gangly, and there was a sort of point like early in my teenage years where I ended up doing some like student modeling for a friend, and then I'd had like the odd sort of like scouting and things sort of didn't really come into fruition, and then I got scouted for a TV show called Britain's Next Top Model. Obviously, you have the American version in the US.
Says you're so familiar.
Yeah, I remember just going to the audition with my dad, and it was at Chelsea Football Club, which is a massive stadium here. And there was honestly like thousands of girls. And I remember like 4 hours into waiting in line, my dad was like, "Do you know what? It was really, really nice they asked you to be here, but like just to like manage expectations, like that alone is a good achievement. Like you got asked, that was a good achievement." And then went from like thousands down to like the final 90, and then down to the final 13, and then end up coming third. Which was kind of crazy.
What was that like getting scouted? Like, where were you in that moment? Did you believe it?
Well, it was actually sort of perfect timing because I went into an insolvency administrator job after leaving school because my parents were like, "You have to get a real job." And as Rachel knows me, that for me was just, sitting at a desk alone was a task in itself, let alone like seeing myself in a career position that involved being behind an office desk and computer all day long. So I was on my lunch break and I actually got scouted. At that point, decided, yeah, great, I'm going to hand in my notice. I hadn't even done the audition, but I was like, any way out is great.
That's awesome. What was it like being on Next Top Model?
It was the most incredible experience, like because I did things I'd never done before in my life and probably will never get to do again. But I think I was extremely young. I was 18. And the comments, and a lot of it is obviously for TV, it's dramatized, but at the end of the day, you're still an 18-year-old girl, and you're still getting all these like pretty harsh comments about your appearance and who you are, and like, that can be quite damaging. And maybe at the time you don't even realize. It's only sort of now that I'm like in my 30s, I look back on like a lot of that early time and think, oh my gosh, like some of those comments were actually pretty.
Absolutely. Do you think that any of that experience, like, did that channel your drive to be into wellness? And I know you're like a Pilates instructor, or do you think that there was, like, what do you think the lingering impact of that experience was?
I think I've always been into like wellness and like health and fitness and being fit. Like when I was a teenager, I was running at a competitive level, like sort of county and national level. And I think almost in going into modeling, I kind of put a bit of a hold on my sort of working out, or I would kind of do, like, I feel like it was like I said back then, it wasn't that long ago, but that kind of like skinny workout obsession thing that kind of happened. Like it was such an era of like the skinny workouts. And I was like, that would be the kind of workout I would do, or I would just do these crazy HIIT classes and like my cortisol would probably be through the roof and actually just ruining my body far more than now. And I think it's as with age, hopefully you understand a bit more and you get the knowledge and you start to really realize what is good for you and what is not. And just because something's a workout doesn't actually mean that it's necessarily good.
Gosh, that is so relatable. I literally know the exact types of workouts because I used to do them religiously. And I think that there's that moment too where you're like, this isn't sustainable. Like this has become a routine because I'm craving, or like I'm trying to get some type of external validation from this, that truly once you dig deep, you're like, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't how I want to feel. So it's incredible to be able to move past that because that's a really intense environment to be in while you're experiencing those feelings.
Yeah.
What was it like on the back end of transitioning out of that modeling? I don't know, like the modeling world meets stunt world, which is so different. I would love to know that transition.
Yeah, I think it was sort of like not necessarily a conscious choice that I knew what I was going to do next, but I was like, obviously you're getting sort of like mid-20s, sort of aware that maybe modeling was kind of it was wearing thin. I think there's only so many times you can be told you're old or you're fat or you're ugly, like face to face. And it kind of gets to a point where you think, you know what, I can't do this anymore. Like it's actually going to affect me. So I sort of started like exploring my options, and I felt like maybe acting would give me a bit more depth and a bit more of like a 3D feel to, modeling can feel quite two-dimensional at times. So I went out to LA and I went to the Groundlings and I did the improv course there, which was terrifying in so many ways because it's so outside my comfort zone, but it was so good to break those barriers. And then I moved agency. I moved to more of like a commercial agency and started doing more, like auditions. And it was through one of these auditions, they asked me if I could be a body double in a film, which at the time I was like, I don't even know what that means. Tell me more. What does this involve? And I turned up and I was literally the exact same height and size as the lead actress. So I was going to be there, to double her on scenes, the back of her, side of her, whenever she just doesn't want to be on camera, I'm there as that option. And subsequently, they didn't have a stunt double for her. So I met with the stunt coordinator and the team, and essentially they put me through almost like a little circuit course, assault course of, if you will. And then from then on, I just sort of learnt on the job and sort of that was my introduction to the stunt world, I guess. And after that was when I was like, this is great. This is something where I get to use my body. I get to stay fit. I get to learn new skills. I get to be part of a bigger world. Like the film environment just felt so exciting, and there's so many opportunities and so many people from different walks of life. I was just like, this is it. Let's do this. And that was sort of happy accident that ended up being my career.
Are you ever scared doing stunts? Like, I'm anxious for you.
I think there's always an element of fear, and I think it's good to have that fear factor. I think if I wasn't afraid, I think that would probably bring its own set of issues. So I think you have to have that element of fear, and you have to understand the risk, but it's being able to manage that risk and figure out the best way to do this, the safest way possible, or you trust the people around you more than anything. It's so important to have like a great team of people. So yeah. It's good.
Looking back, when you made that transition, coming to LA and doing the improv course, did you feel like you had closure on the modeling experience, or were there times even after the transition where you were like, maybe I left prematurely or directionally?
It was a really just transitional time in my life anyway. I'd just come out of like a 5-year relationship. I was kind of running away at that point and sort of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life in all aspects. So I think there was a lot of confusion and a lot of uncertainty, and I definitely didn't know I would end up here. I just knew I needed something to change. And I think even with the modeling now, like there's still clients, loyal clients that I've had for years. And if they call, I'll absolutely do the job because I know it's going to be a nice day at work. It's going to be a nice experience. It's not going to make me feel, bad about myself. But likewise, last month I also got booked for a job and I was like, why not? And turned up and they're already telling me, oh, your hips are 7 centimeters bigger than the average. And it's a real shame your body's like this, but at least you have abs. I was like, this is just not what I need. I'm 33. I don't need to be told this. Don't book me.
It's crazy that that's still such a prevalent part of the industry. Like, it amazes me. I have a few model friends, and they've expressed the feeling of like aging out, knowing like maybe this won't be my sole revenue stream for, the next decade ahead. But to hear those comments still being made with everything we're doing for body positivity and inclusivity, and like, need I mention you have a 6-pack and you're in killer shape, like that's not even, it's just shocking that that's...
I think that's the one thing about the fashion industry. I think like on the surface and on a media facing outlook for anyone that's not involved in the industry, they see it as, oh, we're doing this, we're body positive. But actually the reality is it's never going to change. That size 0 and that whole movement of like, you need to be this shape and this size and these measurements, like that exists and that's the reality.
It's so crazy because, and this is an outsider's perspective, but to me, you're one of the like healthiest, strongest, and I don't mean healthy like you appear skinny, you mentally appear healthy, and you're always cooking food for everyone. We're all eating at the table together. How were you able to keep those boundaries? How were you able to say, like, I know that this isn't healthy, I need to take care of myself? Because I think that's a real skill that not everyone is able to cultivate.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite interesting. I had a conversation with a friend about this the other day because if you spoke to me at the time, like I've always been like quite headstrong and feel like I know who I am and I can, keep my boundaries. But looking back, like I was definitely not having the most healthy relationship with food. Like I would probably have a good breakfast and a good dinner, but like during the day, I'd probably just have a handful of almonds and be like, that's a healthy lunch. Or maybe I don't need to eat today, or maybe I skip this meal. And at the time I was probably like, no, I'm fine. I'm not affected. Like I'm not doing anything to change, my outlook on life or change my body weight or appearance. But I definitely was. And I think you just get so wrapped up in that mindset, and it's being drilled into you on a daily basis. Like every audition, every casting, every job, like someone makes a comment and it sticks. Like you can't ignore those things. You really can't. Like it's going to affect you.
And when you're around a community of people, I'm sure, like when you're on set with other models, you're picking up, like I am mindful of the communities that I'm a part of in New York City, because I'm also very easily triggered by a lot of that narrative, having gone through years of orthorexia and being so scrutinizing towards every decision pertaining to how I ate, how I exercised, the whole 9 yards, that like while I feel fully recovered and I feel like I have a very healthy relationship with my wellness practices now, it is easy to hear someone say something and think like, oh yeah, like that works, that's fine. And then you're right back to thinking that, a behavior that isn't best serving you is becoming normalized. So I think that's really incredible that you were able to have that discernment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all need to be sort of mindful and conscious of like, I think diet culture is definitely not as bad as it was, but it still exists. And especially with social media platforms, you see these sort of like what I eat in a day, fitness, wellness girls, and they're just like unboiled egg. And I'm like, can we just stop promoting that? If that works for you, great. But let's not advertise this as something that everyone should be doing, because every body type is different. Every metabolism is different. Every person is different. So like work out what works for you, not selling it to everyone else.
And there's just an element of any of those posts, even if it comes from a good place, there just is a toxicity to it. And like, you just have to know when you're posting that, because you're going to post your best day, or you're going to post like the idealistic routine, which no one can uphold all the time. So to post that and say, hey, here's what I eat in a day, follow this, it's like, that you're contributing to stress on someone else, because they can't have that day every day, nor should they strive to. So
and also,
I was a victim of doing them and then not posting them, because they are very toxic.
Yeah, and we're all guilty of them watching those videos and then going, oh my gosh, why should we be doing this? Maybe I should do that. Like we all do it. Like doesn't matter how headstrong you are, doesn't mean how like, body confident you are. You're gonna look at your own life and think, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing this. I should be doing that. Like it's just like a spiral, isn't it?
I remember I was living in London at the time, and this woman that I followed on Instagram was promoting this. She explained it as like a detox that everyone should do 3 times a year. And I was like, oh, like I really trust her. So like, sure, I'll do it. But I remember I was so hungry still. And so I messaged her and I was like, I bought this and it's been, I'm sure it's really helping me, but I'm still really hungry. Like, are you hungry? What do you do? And her response back was just like, nope, it fills me. I'm not hungry. So then my immediate response is, oh, there's something wrong with me. And like, I'm going through all of the lists of what's wrong with me. Then I need to restrict myself or whatever it was. And I was like, this is not like a women supporting women environment. This is like, we got eyes here.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's, there was the whole era of there was the skinny tea and skinny coffee and all of those kind of scary things. And, even now with Ozempic is like, I think that's like a whole other like avenue, and people want quick fixes and they want quick solutions. But, it does scare me, like how healthy are these solutions, long term. Why is there still so much pressure on, especially women, on our body types, body shapes, what we do and how we look? And it's infuriating.
Imi is so strong, not just mentally, as she says all of this, but physically. It's not jiu-jitsu. What's it called that you used to do?
I do jiu-jitsu here in London, but I would do a martial arts in LA. It was Korean-based, Hapkido. So called Rudo. She
could like tumble you over. So like if someone said something nasty to her, in my head, I'm like imagining her put him in a headlock and like take him down.
It was stunt work. I'm sure you're like.
No, it's very useful in terms of like knowing how to fall and like for choreography and stuff. But yeah, I mean, hopefully I never have to use any of that in real life.
Good self-defense if it comes down.
It's good to know, yeah. It's good to know the self-defense.
You say something about my hips, watch out.
Yeah.
I mean, there are
What is
definitely some days and some people I wish I could go back in time to, my younger self, and just really just have a
rough
cutting
them up?
response back. But we live in that. We just, we're above that. Let's try not to lower ourselves to that.
What is, I'm shifting gears a little bit, but I'm so curious to hear what's the most interesting moment you've had on set?
That's a tough one.
Or like highlights, you can say, not to put you on the spot so
Um,
directly.
I've been extremely lucky in the jobs I've had, just in general. As I think I touched on earlier, just being part of a film set is just so epic. Like, there's so many people and so many departments and so much happening. And then when you see that project on screen, I mean, we've done a watch party before with Rach, like for some of the films I've done. It's just like that moment of like, you really were part of something quite epic. And like, honestly, like some things will take like 3 weeks and it'll be 30 seconds in the final project. And you're like, wow, that was so time consuming, so painful at times to like get through that, and like the early starts and like everything, that kind of had to go into that moment. But for me, in terms of like, I guess if we're looking like on a highlight out of the jobs, I would say Tenant is probably up there as one of the best jobs I had. Just working with Christopher Nolan, number one, like he's my favorite director. And two, it's like, it was so refreshing and so amazing to do everything like practically as much as possible. Like, we've had very little studio time, and compared to most jobs, I would say majority of my time is spent in a studio on a film lot. Whereas we got to travel like 7 different countries in 7 months. Like, we really did get a 747 and crash it into a building in Victorville. There was trying to be minimal on the CGI, so we did a lot of things practically, and that was so mind-blowing and so exciting to be a part of.
Will you say what CGI is for the unsophisticated listener, myself included?
It's basically, Nolan is quite famous that he wants to limit the CGI, aka the computer generated
Wow.
images, so the editing, which, like, for example, something like Marvel, obviously it's, a lot of it is fantasy, it's futuristic, it's going to be a lot of studio time on a green screen background, so they can then edit in the background, they can computer generate the image, and especially with AI coming in, obviously that's like leaps and bounds above where it used to be. Now like the editing is incredible, and like there's very little thing that you can't do on with the computers these days. So it's really nice that Nolan will keep as much of it practical and then minimal editing, which is great.
Will you tell us, just give people a highlight reel of jobs you've worked on, stunts you've done?
Most recently, I've worked on Simple Favor 2, but that won't be out until sometime later on this year or early next year. That was a lot of fun in Italy. And then before that, I was doing Deadpool Wolverine, which obviously came out last year. It was really, really fun to work on. That was a great project. And I was doing a mix of roles on that. I was driving double for Jennifer Garner, did the slide into the arena, as well as various mutants, various sort of marauders in the arena scene. And then Tenant, as I mentioned, Red Notice. I was driving double and second double for Gal Gadot, which was amazing. It was a lot of fun, although that was shot sort of mid-pandemic, so that came with its own set of challenges. We were pretty much camping out in a hotel, between hotel and set, and we, kept our distance, didn't see anyone. It was a pretty full-on way of filming. What else? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the first 2 films of that, and then Spider-Man Far From Home also. And then there's
That is an incredible lineup.
Right. Like, you're incredible.
Oh, you're very, very kind.
Has being in these roles skewed your appreciation or changed your appreciation watching movies? Like, is it hard to watch a movie and not think about all of the work going in the background?
I think I definitely do watch films and sort of maybe certain scenes, especially if there's action or, something, I maybe consider how they would have done it or who's done it or, But I've always loved cinema and film, and I feel like I just love it even more now being part of it, because I have like such a big appreciation for like how much truly goes into a project. Like, I really like watched films and realize like the body of work and the team effort that's gone together just to make that production.
How does it feel being an actress and stunt woman on set when you know there is this AI in the background and the potential future for you in terms of that?
Yeah, I think it's scary and challenging in some ways, but at the same time, I think you get so much from a human interaction. You know what I mean? Like you get so much more from a real life human who has feelings and has, you know, the ability to feel and understand on a deeper level. And I think AI will be incredible for some aspects. Like if you look at Here, the Tom Hanks film that just came out, like being able to digitally de-age people and using AI for that is incredible. But to completely replace actors and stunt performers, I think that would be a huge mistake and a huge shame if that was ever to happen. And listen, I'm sure it will. I think in a way that there will be these new AI computer generated films that are just solely that. They have no actors, no real life anyone, just completely AI. And I think there will be like the old school filmmakers who still make true cinema. You know, I mean, again, to mention Christopher Nolan, but he still shoots on film. You know, that film is not dead from completely. So there are still people that will always love the art form of creating films and creating cinema, and I think that's really special, and I hope that long continues.
I think knowing the background of the work that goes into creating a film will also, that appreciation will never go away. So if you knew a film was AI generated, it's just a totally different experience than like, I just watched with my boyfriend Gangs of New York, and the intricacy of I don't even know how they began to film. I can't imagine the amount of work that went into creating that film. Had that been AI generated, I just wouldn't have sat there appreciating
No.
it the same way. So I think that's something that anyone who appreciates film is never going to lose sight of.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just having that different mindset and just different appreciation for different forms of art, essentially.
We touched on this a little bit earlier, but one of the things that I do admire most about you is no matter what's going on in the world, no matter like the strikes that were happening or COVID, whatever it was in the larger scale, but also like with you personally, you always show up as this like kind, optimistic, loving human. Like even when times were hardest, she was still cooking Sunday roast for everyone. Like she is this just lovely, optimistic human. And I think so much of what you talked about, I can imagine impacted that. But can you, for those of us that are still building that, can you tell us a little bit about how you built that, how you maintain that? Because that's wellness on such a deep level.
Yeah, and thank you. Firstly, Rach, that's very sweet of you to say. I think it probably stems from upbringing. Like for me, growing up, like my dad always cooked, and even when he was working every day, but still every evening we'd come home and cook, and like we would all sit around the table and we would all have dinner together, and that was just always like just a staple. And I think I've always loved that. Like I've always loved, and I love cooking. I've always loved cooking for friends, for family, for loved ones, and just bringing people together. Like I adore food, as you know. Like I think food and friends is just like the best combination. So yeah, if I can cook for people I love and bring people together and enjoy that time, I think that's so special. And that's definitely, like you say, that's wellness in itself. Like that time, quality time, eating, drinking together, having a laugh, sharing stories, talking, like that's just so special. And I think as well, like growing up, conversation at the dinner table, that's another thing. Like that's how you learn, that's how you grow, and you can have a discussion and you don't always agree, and that's so amazing. And society at the moment, it feels like you have to all agree or you have to all disagree, and there's no room for debate or conversation or discussion so much anymore. And I find that really sad, and I really hope that we don't lose sight of that, because I think that's what makes us all unique, and that's what makes the world so special, being able to have those different opinions and learn from one another.
That was so beautiful.
It is really true though too. Like social media makes it so easy to share a lot but not actually engage. And I mean, you can engage in terms of reading the comments or answering your DMs, but to actually sit around, and like that also has to be so stylized because you're putting it in a broad forum setting where anyone can maybe access it or save it, whatever. And so to be able to have those conversations where you're actually being able to be real and raw with people you're comfortable with and engage and go deeper is a rarity, and is something that is so important. So I commend you for making that space.
Well,
back to the in-person value.
It's so true. That's the thing with social media. I think more and more people are hesitant to share anything or to truly support, one thing or another, or have their opinion, because everyone is so ready to shoot them down. There's such a dark portion of social media of just people sitting behind their keyboards ready to attack, you know. And it's a shame, because more and more people are like really, I think, stylizing the way they broadcast certain things, or like really sort of self-censoring, and that's a shame, because that was never what its intention was, you know. It's meant to be your own platform. It's meant to be, you share what you want and people follow you and support you because they like you, and maybe they don't always agree with you, but I don't know, maybe we'll do a U-turn.
We're trying. We're trying by posting authentically, not posting our what I eats in a day. What would you say is your best advice for someone looking to make a career change and just bet on themselves the way you have?
Honestly, take the risk, take the chance. Like, I see it so often, and I hear it so often with people that, I mean, I don't want to just brand all 9-to-5ers in that bracket, but like, I think often it's like, when you are in a stable job with a stable income, it can be really hard to take that leap, especially if you're then going into something that maybe is self-employed, or it comes with its risks, then it's not guaranteed. And it is scary, and I get it. You know, you build this life and you get used to this paycheck coming at the same time every month. But if you're not happy, don't do it. Like, we really only get one life, and it really is short. And I know that's so cliche, but it is the truth. And it's like, if you just got to take the chance and do it, just, you know what, if it doesn't work out, go back to that stable job, go back to that 9-to-5, go back to the stability. But yeah, take a risk. Why not?
That's beautiful. I need to hear that. I know a few friends who I'm sending this exact part of this episode to, but also, did you have moments where even after you felt like maybe I made the wrong decision? Like, how did you really talk through that voice in your head?
I think it's constant. I genuinely question myself, like, at least, you know, a few times a year. I think that's completely normal. There's, you know, I will work, and life's great, and I'm like so happy and so busy I can't catch a break. And then a job stops, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm never working again. What am I doing with my life? Why would I choose this life? It's so stressful. How am I going to pay my bills? Like, and then a job comes, and it's fine. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're always going to have those ups and downs. Like, being self-employed or working, you know, running your own business, it's a roller coaster. It's not linear, but also that's the beauty of it. Like, you get the high highs and you get the low lows, but you just appreciate everything so much more, and you get that freedom to enjoy life a little bit more.
Imi got me through my transition. She knew me as I was like sort of leaving the more corporate finance world, and through opening Empowered, starting Wellness Growth Ventures, all of the highs and lows of that, and this like mantra of, you hear it, like she truly does appreciate all of the highs and the lows and how much richer the highs become. But I think it's real that you're never over it. That it's never like you graduate from being nervous about it or anxious about it, and having people like Imi in my life continue to help me get through it and know that like this is the right decision for me, this is the right path for me.
Absolutely. Having both of you guys, I feel so grateful just to hear it, because it's really interesting too how different both of your perspectives are and journeys, but still the root belief is like live with purpose. And I really like when you say like you have one life, go do it, because I think it's so easy. I am such a victim of this. Like, I need things to be planned, and I need comfort and control and safety, and therefore taking leaps of faith are extremely challenging unless they're calculated leaps of faith. But I think that experiencing the highs and lows is so much more fulfilling when you're doing something that you truly believe in than staying in this like safe little middle zone at that 9-to-5 or whatever that looks like, because you're scared of what that low is going to feel like. So it's just a great perspective and really motivational to hear.
Will you tell us how you take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally? I know we touched a little bit about like being with people and cooking, but just like your favorite workouts, your favorite thing to cook right now, all of that fun stuff.
I mean, I have a dog called Winnie. Rach, you know, I got Winnie in LA. During lockdown, I was fostering and I failed miserably. But genuinely, she is one of like the things in my life that honestly, she gets me out of bed every morning. I have to take her for a walk. So like every morning is the same. I'm up and out with her for an hour, walking, being in fresh air, listening to a podcast, or maybe I'm listening to music, maybe call a friend, or maybe just enjoying nature. But like that is a real like crucial, like non-negotiable for me. Like even if I'm working abroad and I'm not with Winnie, like getting up and out in the morning, I'll go and grab a coffee. Like I love that little moment, you know, that's a really important part of my day, and it sort of keeps me sort of grounded. It's the stability, because my job isn't stable. So I do need that stability from other areas. And simultaneously working out. It depends what I do. Some days it's Pilates, some days it's boxing, some days it's just going to the gym. Some days it's actually not going to the gym, it's just going to have a sauna, you know? So it's some kind of wellness or something that, you know, somehow I'm sweating somehow in the day, and that also keeps me going. And then, yeah, I love cooking of an evening, as I've mentioned earlier, like whatever it may be. Like I try and cook at least 5 times a week because I think that is also really like that's almost my meditation for me. Like when I cook, I'm like fully switched off and I'm just present in that moment. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just like really enjoying what I'm making. Actually just started like making, I don't like fried chicken. I've never liked fried chicken, as Rachel knows, it's so random. But I decided to make this like cornflake chicken, and it's delicious. And I'm really into it. And it's really thrown me because I never liked fried chicken. But it's air fryer, so it's you know, slightly different. That with like a good pasta, like a really good vodka sauce, or like a garlic creamy pasta, delicious. Get the carbs, but get the protein. Like I'm all about it. Like not too healthy. I like a good dinner, a good meal for the evening. That's
Also, hearing that too is really refreshing because that's the truth of the matter. When you're cooking your own food, you can really expand your narrative around what's healthy and what's unhealthy because you're so close to the meal and you're so close to the ingredients and the experience. I've felt the same way. Like the more I've gotten into cooking, the more I felt very comfortable eating things that for years I shied away from because I deemed them unhealthy. And then you realize it's actually not supposed to be that complicated. And it's just a matter of making whole foods and taking care of yourself and having fun in the kitchen and like viewing it as a labor of love. And that's what energetically makes it so much better for your body than resentment and fear and just restrictions. So that's awesome.
Exactly. I think truly making things from scratch is just the best thing you can do. And then you know exactly what's going into your food. And you can kind of just have, like you said, have fun with it, try new things, experiment. And sometimes it's a great experiment and sometimes it's terrible, but you know, it's all part of the journey.
Trial and error, that's the fun of it. That's awesome.
It is.
Well, it has been absolutely incredible getting to chat on so many different topics. This one's a fun one. I'm trying to think of the title and I don't even know where we will land, but we always like to wrap them up with a few questions, quick questions. Think of it as like one word or a sentence. So we are going to rattle those off and excited to hear your answers. What is something that you can't live without? Great answer. I'm sitting here sipping coffee, as I know Rachel is too, somewhere in the screen. What keeps you grounded?
And some family.
Who do you admire most?
My mum.
That's so sweet. What makes you feel wealthy?
Just contentment and happiness.
That radiates through this whole episode. It is so sincere that that is how you feel, and I am motivated as a result of it. What is something that few people know about you?
I'm a complete nerd.
But now we're exposing that people know this about us.
So everyone knows.
This is honestly puts the biggest smile on my face. I've been looking forward to this all week. You are just radiant. You're such a sunlight for everyone. And thank you for sharing this sunlight with so many people.
Thank you both for having me. It's such an honor.
Thank you.
It's been so nice
See you next week.